How's it going, everybody? Brian Elvers and Dave Meltzer here, Wrestling Observer Radio. It is December 20, 2016, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Raw to talk about here tonight, the day after Roadblock Into the Line. And I guess I should have known that it's lame duck show time until January. What was this show? Oh my God.
Well, it wasn't that bad. I mean,
dude,
it was
the first half hour of this show.
The first half hour dragged. Actually, I thought it kind of dragged until the last maybe 30 minutes, for the most part. But, they set things up. You know, you got the main event for the Royal Rumble, which is Reigns against Owens with Chris Jericho in the Shark Cage, which makes sense based on what they did for the finish.
Hey, listen, they stole that from NXT, but at least, unlike in NXT, there was a reason to hang the guy above the ring in a shark cage.
Well, I don't think they stole it from NXT as much as they're trying to market the shark cage toy, but yeah, NXT did it first for no reason, and this one, well, they had a weak reason. Ellering had interfered in like 2 matches, but that was so, it was hardly even got heat. But in this case, Jericho's been interfering left and right in championship matches, so it makes complete sense doing it this way. And then they started the Charlotte and Bayley angle. The whole idea, I think I mentioned it, is that they were going to do Charlotte and Bayley before, and they decided to postpone it because it was like they want the angle to climax at WrestleMania. And the deal is that if they... It's kind of like, why start the angle before January? And granted, we're in December, but it's the first big match, I guess, is going to be at the Royal Rumble. And so the idea is don't start it for the week pay-per-views, get it on the big ones, and however the program's laid out, that's the deal. And it's the feeling is that Bayley was more over than Sasha Banks as a babyface, and Vince, as we've mentioned before, was not high on Sasha Banks in some ways. So it was not, no long-term championship thing. So the idea was that Charlotte's the better heel, and the one who's really built a division. And really she has. So when it comes to that, it's the money program is Charlotte and Bayley. And so Charlotte had to go over on the pay-per-view and end the feud. And Sasha's going to, be doing an injury angle, I guess, is what it seems like. And then that's the deal.
Well, let's start with this first half hour here. Kevin and Chris Jericho open up the show. Kevin says, "Welcome to the Chris and Kevin show. I said your name first," he says. Said he had no idea what Jericho was going to do when he entered the ring last night. And he says as much as the Codebreaker hurt, it didn't hurt as bad as thinking that Jericho wasn't his best friend anymore. And now the title is right back where it belongs. So Jericho says, Codebreaker hurt me more than it hurt you.
He's had the title.
I know. I don't know what he meant by it's back where it belongs.
Maybe the idea that they both have it again.
I guess.
I don't know. Maybe he should have clarified that.
So he says that he had to make everybody believe, this is Jericho, he wants Kevin to believe that now their friendship is intact, they're better than ever. He's going to give him the hug of Jericho, and then they can hand out retribution. So Chris Jericho starts cutting a promo on Santa Claus. Santa stole his gimmick, his list, and so, of course, Santa, you just made the list. Everybody cheers. Mick Foley comes out. He should have come out dressed as Santa, since that's his gimmick, defending Santa. He had footage of...
would have been better than he was dressed.
Oh, my God. We'll get to that. I thought, you know what? I thought last night Mick Foley set new standards for horrible outfits, but boy, did he... Tonight was the end of the line. There's no way he will ever wear an outfit worse than the one he wore tonight.
But that's the gimmick. That's part of the gimmick, is that he wears, it's like...
But now he's peaked.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the whole idea is that it's like Mick Foley really shouldn't be in a suit and tie because it's just not Mick Foley. So they're trying to figure out what to do, because I think they don't want him in the flannel, which is probably what he's most comfortable in. So I don't know.
So
what they're
this
doing.
Was a better choice than the flannel?
I don't know, man. I don't know. This
was no joke the ugliest shirt I've ever seen in my whole life.
Wasn't he wearing like 2 shirts? Like one over the top of the other?
I think so. And I think one of the shirts was supposed to look like a hairy chest. I'm not entirely sure.
I thought that too. I think so.
It was hideous. So
I won't argue that. It was weird. You know, the other thing, so it's like, so, you know, like he was supposed to have this week off. And I was wondering, like, what's the deal? And then I figured it out. It's like, okay, so he was given this week off. And the reason that they needed him back was, number one, the Sami Zayn thing. I mean, they had that angle for the show yesterday, which really made no sense. But it was more for today because they had to do all this. And, you know, what they did wouldn't fit with Stephanie. But the other thing is Stephanie's gone. Like, she wasn't on TV yesterday or today. So she was taking time off, and they realized, well, if two people take time off at the same time, and one of them has to be there, it isn't the McMahon that's going to change their plans.
Well, there you go. So Mick Foley signs Kevin and Chris versus Roman and Seth for tonight. He then tries to get a cheap pop, but forgets what city they're in.
That was awesome.
He said Pittsburgh, but they were in Columbus.
They were in Pittsburgh the day before.
Do you realize that R-Truth has been a comedy geek to end all geeks for 3 years now because he messed up a town one time?
Miz did that once, too.
Yeah. But R-Truth really paid for it.
Yeah. Well, Foley may.
He may pay for it in some way.
I hope not. But, yeah, that was quite the moment.
He actually played it off pretty well when he realized, oops.
They all did. Do you see Kevin and Chris speak at the same time?
Yeah, they had the same comeback at the same time.
That was, yeah, and then they start talking about how they think exactly alike. That was really pretty amazing. You know, where they almost said the same words. I mean, it was the same idea at the same time. It's like everyone's thinking on their feet right away. So that's probably like the realest 30 seconds. It wasn't even 30 seconds. It was like 10 seconds in wrestling in a long time.
Foley then announces the Shark Cage stipulation. It's Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. Jericho will be in the Shark Cage. So, for sure, for the next 6 weeks, Jericho and Owens are buddies again. And they made the announcement, and since the show is 3 hours long, we got about 10 minutes of Shark Cage comedy that ended with Jericho getting in the Shark Cage, because he wanted to make sure it was safe, getting locked in there, and then Foley pretended like he lost the key. They raised Jericho up in the air. He got really scared because he's afraid of heights, and then he was hyperventilating shortly thereafter and getting oxygen. Not making any of this up, everybody. Real segment. Go backstage.
Yeah, the backstage with the oxygen mask, and yeah.
He's getting oxygen. He's crying. He's so afraid of heights. And this continued later.
Yeah, that gimmick of that was actually, I think Jim Cornette did that, but I think it worked better with Jim Cornette's persona than Jericho's. I don't think it works so well for like a top heel to be like that. I mean, pussy heel manager, yes.
So, Rusev and Big Cass.
Oh, is this brutal?
Well, we'll get to that in a second. I want to go back to Jim Cornette. You know what? A Jim Cornette character should be, like, outwardly afraid of heights. A top heel can be sort of like, they pretend like they're not afraid of heights and they act really tough, but they show just enough that you, the viewer, think, this dude's afraid of heights.
Well, he was doing the whole thing. First he was like, he said he had arachnophobia, and Owens said that's a fear of spiders, and he goes, well, I'm afraid of them too. I've got both of them. That was actually some pretty funny stuff. But
anyway, Cass faced Rusev. We'll get to that segment later. Cass was DQ'd virtually immediately for kicking too much ass.
Well, no, it wouldn't break on the ropes at the count of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah, in like 50 seconds it sucked. It's a way out. They don't want to beat Cass. They're not going to beat Rusev this early. So they, same thing as they did the night before, other than it was 4 minutes quicker.
Sasha came out.
And a different non-finish.
Sasha comes out on crutches. Says she literally left her blood, sweat, and tears in the ring last night. Tapped out twice. Didn't just break her leg, it broke her heart. Said her and Charlotte made history with all of these matches. Last night she walked out without her title. She said it legit killed her to say that the better woman won.
I want to mention something about last night. So everyone knew that 2 seconds left tap out was stupid.
So why did they do it?
Because the key people didn't know.
So they're stupid.
So this is the deal, okay? Vince McMahon had this idea that this great ending of this match, and of course, he didn't figure they didn't figure they were in Pittsburgh and that no one was going to care and the match was going to drag and people were not going to be making any noise. So he was thinking that it was going to be this really exciting thing, and Sasha was about to win and retain her championship. And you remember the Faber match? Obviously, you saw it Saturday night. So the end of the Faber match where they're counting down, they did in the Randy Couture Tim Sylvia match. Not that Vince has any idea of those matches, but the idea was Vince thought that they were going to be 10, 9, and the whole building was going to be just going crazy, which didn't happen.
And then she was going to quit?
And then she was going to tap it to deflate the entire
this
crowd.
This guy out of his fucking mind.
That's what he thought. He thought it was going to be like the greatest moment when she then tapped out 2 seconds before everybody knew she was going to retain the championship. Everybody else thought, no, like if she's going to do it,
hold on a second.
Do it like earlier. So then they're tied and they're both going for near falls for the last, whatever.
No, Charlotte should have been ahead by 1 and they were going to count down, and then she taps out with 2 seconds left and they would have popped like crazy because Sasha got him in overtime as the babyface champion.
They wouldn't have counted down, though. They wouldn't count down.
They didn't count down either way.
Well, I know that. That's not the point. But the point is that they thought that they would. If that's the reason that it was booked like that, because of course it was ass backwards booking, and the logic to the whole thing was, that Charlotte should have been the one up by 1, and Sasha should have scored the tying 1. I mean, Sasha could do the tying thing with 2 seconds left, and it actually would have worked.
Yeah,
great.
That would have been 1,000 times better.
Yeah, it would have been.
And you know what? At least you would have given Sasha something before she went on to lose via submission in overtime.
Well, the whole thing is that she could have gotten that like not a tap, but like a fluke win. And I mean, like the idea that Charlotte had destroyed her leg and was ahead by 1 as well, and it's just like all hope is gone. And then Sasha got that thing, got that late pin, ties it up, goes into overtime. The idea is that it was going to be a draw. Then you kind of spring it in a heel way that we're going into overtime, and her leg's damaged, and they really shouldn't. It's like a heel move. Stephanie goes in there and would say that would all work really well because Stephanie screwed her out of the title. They never announced there was an overtime in the case of a draw. I mean, so.
Well, there usually always is in Iron Man matches.
Well, is there? I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, they didn't. When we had, let's see, we have Iron Man matches. We had Iron Man matches. They did have overtime.
You were there for the most famous one they've ever done.
Which one?
Brett and Sean.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when I was a kid. I saw. I don't know if they were the original Iron Man matches, but I'm guessing that's where the concept came. Was they didn't call them Iron Man matches, but they had them out here when Patterson was here wrestling, and he was in an Iron Man match with Ray Stevens and one with Don Morocco, and let me think about this one. The Don Morocco match definitely went into overtime because that was a 67-minute match, and the Stevens match. God, I think that one didn't go into overtime, but it was like somebody was. I think Patterson won that match, but anyway, that's. But so the whole deal is there's a lot of, but the whole situation on the thing is that is why it was the way it was, and it failed because, the crowd didn't do what he expected it to do. He needs to be. So. Well,
let's not bury the lead here. Are you telling me that Vince McMahon watched the Uriah Faber fight on Saturday?
No, I'm sure he didn't. It's not like, it's just he had that premonition that that's what the crowd was going to do. Yeah, I don't think for a second.
Poor premonition then.
Yeah, unless it is possible. Okay, it is possible. I don't believe for a second, obviously, that Vince watched that fight, but it is very possible that somebody in the company watched that fight and may have told Vince what happened and goes like, this is how it ended and everything like that. But I don't think so. I don't think that the Uriah Faber fight had anything to do with it. I would be like 90% sure, but the timing is interesting because it was the very next day. So it is possible. I don't think Vince has watched a UFC in years. So it probably wasn't him coming. So
anyway, she's doing the thing here, and she wants Charlotte to come out so she can look her in the eyes and congratulate her. Nia Jax comes out instead. Says Sasha is weak and wounded, will never be the boss to her, you're just a little girl. Kicks her crutch out, beals her, and then she teases hitting her with the crutch, but then doesn't. And the crowd was dead for most of this.
Yeah, I liked that segment. I mean, as far as like, it put, Nia Jax hasn't been around for a while, and obviously, I don't know exactly when they're going to do this program, but, that was the other idea. If Sasha had won, Nia was going to be who she would face, I suppose, but, and obviously they're going to, well, I shouldn't say obviously they're going to do anything. Logically, I'll make this better. Logically, they're going to do that program next, based on what we just saw.
Logically.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I'm saying is if everything makes sense, they'll do it. But I don't want to commit to it because I don't know that it's going to all make sense.
So Foley meets with Cesaro and Sheamus. Says, I'm like a proud papa here. I know I sounded like a lunatic when I told you guys you'd change the face of the tag division, but then you did. So I have an early Christmas present for you. It's new Raw tag team titles. He unveils them to absolute, utter dead silence from the crowd. Sheamus snatches these belts. They're exactly like the SmackDown belts, except they got a red leather backing and not blue. And suddenly a ref runs in and says, Foley, we need you. There's an emergency. So the emergency is Braun Strowman running rampant. He says Sammy only survived 10 minutes because he let him. He tells Foley to bring Sammy to him right now.
Okay, so wait. So he let him. So he was under the same impression you were.
Yeah.
They didn't tell him the stipulations either.
Damn sure should have made that clear last week. Now he's killing everybody.
Yeah, I know. What a mess.
Foley says Sammy's 100 miles away. And Braun says, well, I guess it'll have to be or else. And he storms off.
Couldn't Foley have called like Sammy on the cell phone and told him to come back?
Dude, he's 100 miles away. He wouldn't have got back by the time the show was over.
Yeah, he would have.
Barely.
Well, quick enough to stop him from interfering in the
Wait, I'm
event.
going to speed?
100 miles? You could do 100 miles.
We don't know if it was 100 miles on the freeway. It could have been on back roads.
He could take the freeway back.
I don't know.
It's only 2 hours. The show's 3 hours long. That's exactly what I thought when he said that. Is like, Sammy's showing up for the finish of the show.
Well, Dave, you know full well that Sammy's not answering his phone when he's driving. He's a babyface. That phone's locked up.
Yeah, he ain't taking any text. He isn't answering anything. You're right. I keep forgetting.
He's a solid driver.
Well, not the driver. It's wrestlers don't answer anything during the week. They can only converse with each other at TV. You know the rules.
That's true as well. You're right.
Because they can't have conversations during the week. Look at Owens and Jericho. Every single thing that they did whenever they had disagreements, they'd never talk to each other, even though they're best friends. Imagine like Foley and Sami Zayn, they're not even like friends.
No.
So he isn't going to be answering the phone or taking his texts or reading his emails or any of those things until next Monday. You're right. I was wrong.
Cedric Alexander and Noam Dar. Cedric and Alicia Fox are now officially dating, and this match was set up because...
Well, they've been dating for 2 weeks, right?
I guess. Dar beat him 2 weeks ago and dedicated the match to Alicia, and this made Cedric Alexander mad.
Okay, so this is really lame, isn't it? Because I was watching it thinking that it was just not working for me one bit. It was like really on the case of like, I don't know what it was. I mean, there's no reason that...
I'll tell you exactly what it was. They went 30 seconds, then they went to a commercial, and they came back and went 1 minute, and then Cedric just beat him. And then the storyline's going to continue, because Noam does a promo saying, you beat me tonight, I beat you 2 weeks ago, we're even, but we're not even. I want the beautiful Alicia Fox. She's the real prize. And... I don't know why Cedric just didn't grab the mic and say, too bad, buddy. Or Alicia didn't say that. Like,
Okay,
so if he wins, he gets her? What's going on here?
And how do you work that?
I have no idea.
Why should they be wrestling each other? Shouldn't he be like buying her Christmas presents or something?
He should be talking to Enzo.
Oh, God. I don't know about that, but
Enzo's got some lines. So the New Day came out for a segment that I'm pretty sure went at least 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that I was thinking. Did you know that I did so much stuff during that New Day thing? So I really don't even. I was only half-assed paying attention.
Oh
because,
man, I was hoping you'd cover it.
Because it was just like I could just see this thing's going forever. Especially when Anderson and Gallows came out, and then they still brought up Primo and Epico to come out there because somebody needed to lose the match. I guess was the real reason.
Well, let me give you the Cliff Notes version.
Man,
first off, they come out and they say that they lost, but Ric Flair did not become a 16-time champion without losing the title 15 times, and they couldn't become 3-time champions without losing a time or two.
Okay, but then they made fun. Then Big E made fun of Charlotte.
He did. They talked about Flair losing the title 15 times, and Big E added, "That'll be Charlotte in a month."
Yeah, so they're just
that was an amazing line.
Yeah, they're just making fun of the way they bounce that women's title around constantly. Well, she's a 4-time champion in a year?
It has been about a year, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's more than a year, but still, but yeah.
Cesaro and Sheamus came out, argued about which one of them is the tag team champion. They both think they're the champion, and they're not champions. So New Day can't believe they walked around with copper belts for 400 days. Sheamus and Cesaro win the belts. They get new titles on the first day. That is a valid argument. The New Day should have been granted the new tag belts when they broke the record. Congratulated Cesaro. Cesaro and Sheamus argued. Sheamus thinks he can be champion for 20 years. Gallo and Anderson came out, called them nerds and geeks.
That was a scary thought.
Oh, God. Says it was them beating up the New Day that allowed... the Nerd Day that allowed Cesaro and Sheamus to win the titles. Shining Stars came out. They are so one-dimensional. It's like a Cologne trait. One-dimensional characters. All they cared about was plugging their timeshare. They didn't mention one thing about wrestling or a match. They immediately get in a fight and go to commercial. They come back. It is New Day and Cesaro and Sheamus versus Gallows, Anderson, and the Shining Stars. Yes, the New Day teaming with Sheamus and Cesaro. They beat up on Kofi.
The next day.
For a full year, they beat on this man. Big E finally got a hot tag, ran wild, hit everybody with a big move. Everybody hit another big move. Cesaro put the sharpshooter on Epico after the swing, tapped him out. That was the end. This went forever.
The match wasn't that long, but the
Are you kidding me? It went through 2 commercial breaks.
It was I think it was only 10 minutes. Hold on, I got it right here somewhere. I didn't think the match. I didn't think that 10 minutes 45 seconds.
Oh my God!
Wasn't that long? I knew it wasn't that long. The interview segment took forever though.
Enzo and Cass are arguing backstage, and a letter arrived. And Enzo learned he was being sent to sensitivity training tonight due to exposing himself in the workplace.
So wasn't that how come Sin Cara wasn't there?
Did he expose himself in the workplace?
No, but he was wasn't he supposed to go to some kind of training?
Well, yeah, but that was real. Although it would have been funny if he'd have been there.
But wouldn't it have been funny to have a mask guy there?
He should have been there in his mask.
Yeah.
Nobody thought about that.
I mean, why would... Look, Bob Backlund was there.
That's true. Apparently we're missing a lot on the old main event.
I mean, what's Bob Backlund done that made him have to go to the principal's office? Bob Backlund's he's an honorable man.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
But he does a lot of yelling and screaming.
I don't know what Darren Young was there for either, other than...
You know what? Maybe Bob was out back of the arena, and some young fan asked him for an autograph, and he shouted at them that he needed to know all the presidents or he wasn't giving him a damn autograph. Or a darn autograph.
How does Darren Young fit into this?
Well, he's his manager.
I mean, I could see where Bo Dallas fits into it because he's wanting everybody to believe, and he was that's a very self-centered thing, and
really.
Jinder, I thought Jinder was just there for a cameo. Holy crap, he's getting pushed.
Yeah. He's getting pushed. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but
he's in a real angle.
They're putting him. It looks like they're going to do a feud with Enzo Amore and Jinder Mahal.
No. Enzo and Cass against Jinder and Rusev.
Oh my Hey, that's better than a singles match.
Well, I think the idea is that they don't want to be beating up Enzo constantly. I think that they've beaten him up enough. They've beaten him up enough as it is. So he needs to start getting some revenge. And he ain't getting any revenge on Rusev. They're not going to let that. So they need a fall guy. And, Ginger's as good a fall guy as any. So that's the deal.
John Cena's back next week. Kurt Angle was all over this commercial. Neville came out.
What commercial?
They had a commercial saying that John Cena's back.
Oh, and they showed clips of Kurt Angle?
Yeah,
okay.
All over it.
Yeah.
Neville came out and noted everybody cheered him last night and says, "That's ironic. You never cheered me before. You only felt sorry for me. Now I'm going to
cheer him before.
I know. Got to make up some story.
I mean, it's like if it was Roman Reigns, you could get away with it, but Neville, they always cheered Neville.
So then, speaking of irony, he says he's going to obliterate the division, and everyone cheered him again.
Yeah.
So Rich Swann came out. Neville cut a promo on him saying he took him to Japan, taught him everything he knew. Rich's career skyrocketed. He wanted to know where the respect was for the real king of the cruiserweights. So Neville says Rich Swann said as long as he's champion, he's the best wrestler in the division. Kendrick comes out to defend Neville. Neville and Kendrick are now on the same team. They attack Rich Swann. TJ Perkins tries to make the save. He's killed. Kendrick kills him with sliced bread. I presume this is a tag match on 205 Live.
No, they announced it later in the show that they're doing that tomorrow night. Yeah, they're doing the tag match tomorrow night in the main event.
And we had the sensitivity training deal, and yes, it was Bo Dallas, Bob Backlund, Darren Young, Jinder Mahal, a bunch of WWE-style comedy. This was the first of many. Titus O'Neil and Sin Cara, they didn't actually do the match, although I was praying we would see these guys try to wrestle. Braun Strowman came out, killed both guys, gave Titus a power slam outside, so if you never see Titus again, now you know why. Carried Sin Cara up to the top of the ramp. Foley told him to knock it off, so Braun threw Sin Cara off the ramp, threw a table and a pile of presents, and then destroyed Christmas presents, which actually was funny, and stormed backstage.
He threw a Christmas tree. I think he suplexed a Christmas tree off the...
He's so mad. Yeah, he kicked a Christmas tree and presents, and what a madman.
Mm-hmm.
More with Kevin and Chris. Kevin says, "Calm down, we got a match." This was where they had the arachnophobia joke. And finally, Kevin fired him up for the match tonight, and Jericho got fired up, but then remembered he was terrified of the cage. A Charlotte promo. First, she buries Sasha. Says there's a reason she was easy pickings for Nia Jax. She beat the boss out of her last night. Says she was the greatest superstar WWE has ever seen. She would beat anyone from any era. Trish Stratus, Fabulous Moolah. She is the queen of pay-per-view, she said. So they clearly want Rousey. And pay-per-view is a term again. Said nobody's at her level, so Bayley came out. And they did this back and forth about Charlotte saying that you didn't get called up with the rest of us because you weren't good enough. And Bayley says, "I'll prove I'm good enough right now." So Charlotte said, "Get a ref out here, I'll take you to school." So they had a non-title match. Bayley made a big comeback, bunch of near falls. Charlotte hit the moonsault. Bayley kicked out. And then Bayley won with the backslide, which the referee called like it was a shoot, and it took them forever to get Charlotte's shoulders down. So time stood still. She pinned her for about 5 seconds. And Bayley is now 3-0
Didn't they? But the
against
gimmick,
Charlotte.
The gimmick was that Charlotte's shoulder wasn't down at the count.
Is that what they were trying to do?
They kept showing it on the replay, so I think so, yeah.
I think they were trying to do a backslide, and it got so messed up that they turned it into something.
If that was the case, they wouldn't have done the replays this week. They probably would have either not done the replays at all or would have done it.
But why would you...
Because like last time remember with Bayley and I think it was Sasha Banks, they did the messed up finish. They didn't acknowledge it at all, and then like a week later, it's like, well, let's use this and turn the match into a three-way.
But if Bayley's the babyface who's going to be fighting for the championship, why would you do a deal where she didn't really pin the champion? That's so lame.
Yeah, I couldn't understand it either. But I couldn't understand the finish yesterday either. I'm sure that like I'll figure out, or I'll be told something that is like a really dumb thing, like today, and that will be the explanation as to what happened. But, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's completely stupid. And when I saw them showing the replay, it's like, wait a minute. The idea that she didn't win fair, I mean, and that's like, it's a non-title match. Like, if it was a title change and they changed the title that way, and you're trying to give Charlotte like a good, whatever, like a good thing, reason for a rematch, I can see that. But in the non-title match to build the championship match, no way. Well, it serves no purpose.
Then we had the final sensitivity training deal where... Actually, no, this wasn't the final one. We had an Emma video, then we got the final one. So, Bob, and...
So Emma's like a rib now.
I guess. She'll be here someday.
Well, she's now like complete heel at the house shows. She's reverted. Like before in the house show, she was a babyface. So, but I don't know when she's going to make TV.
So Bo and Bob and Darren and Jinder all get certificates. And the lady offers Enzo a certificate, but he notes, I'm already certified. Then he tried to hit on her. And he turns around, and there's Rusev and Jinder here at sensitivity training. And the lady in charge tries to tell them no, but they beat the hell out of poor Enzo. This guy's career. Lana walks in, slaps him, screams, crush! Rusev gives him a Uranage through a table, and I presume that Rusev did not get his certificate after this.
Yeah.
This guy. Like, Enzo should just get beat up every week now. I mean, why not?
Yeah, but he's got to get some stuff back.
He does?
Yeah. Plus, here's the deal. It looked so stupid yesterday where Cass is fighting his battle, so they kind of had to hook him up. And so...
Oh, yeah, they hooked him up tonight.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, the whole idea is they got Jinder involved because they need somebody for Enzo to beat. Like I said, they're never going to let him beat Rusev. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, I know.
And finally, Owens and Jericho versus Roman and Rollins. They beat on Roman forever. Seth got the hot tag, hit a combo DDT neckbreaker, which was actually pretty cool. Sent them both outside, wiped him out with a big tope. Roman hit a Superman punch on Owens outside. Seth hit the flying knee on Jericho. Jericho went for... Actually, Seth went for the frog splash. Jericho got his knees up, put Seth in the walls of Jericho, and suddenly... Strowman runs down, and he yanks Reigns off the apron, and as God is my witness, they had Braun Strowman give Roman Reigns the face-first chokeslam on the outside.
Boy, was that a risk.
They're trying to kill him now.
Yeah, man, that's
one way to solve this problem. We'll just have him on the DL for a year.
That doesn't solve any problems.
What are they thinking? A face-first chokeslam on the outside from Braun Strowman.
I know.
Oh, my God. Gave the big power slam to Roman inside, big power slam to Rollins inside, and then left.
So, Roman... Okay, wait a minute. This makes no sense. Because unless they're going to switch the match, why would... Roman Reigns now should be feuding with Strowman? But they already...
Well, maybe this is our WrestleMania tease here.
Oh, good Lord.
He's a big giant. Roman Reigns against the big giant. Why do you think they did Roman Reigns versus the Big Show all those times? That's how you get a babyface over. He's got to beat a big giant. It's Vince McMahon 101.
Yeah, but it didn't work with the Big Show, remember? It like flopped.
Dude, it didn't work the first time, and he did it 55 more times. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. He just thinks it works.
Yeah, I guess that's what's going to happen, though. I guess we are going to have Roman Reigns and Strowman. Well, they were going to do Roman Reigns and Strowman like a year ago, and Strowman wasn't ready for it then. And he's way more ready now, but I don't know if he's quite all the way ready because that match. That match with Sami Zayn wasn't any good last night, and it's pretty difficult to have a bad match with Sami Zayn.
It's virtually impossible, especially in a pay-per-view.
Well, they did have a bad match.
So that was Raw, everybody. Next week is the post-Christmas Raw. So probably Chicago. A lot of wacky skits.
Could be. I hope not.
I think they usually wait until the first Raw of the new year to really start kicking things off.
That's true. They usually do. But they're in Chicago. I'm thinking maybe because of Chicago, they won't do a lame duck show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. So New Japan World is offering a lot of stuff for free and cool stuff.
Yeah, so they're putting every January 4th Tokyo Dome from 1972 to 1992. God, 1972 is when they started the company. There wasn't even a Tokyo Dome then. So from 1992, which was the first January 4th Tokyo Dome show. I wish it was every Tokyo Dome show, but it's not, because the 1990 Tokyo Dome show was like really awesome, and a lot of the stuff never aired on TV. And when New Japan World started, they had the whole show up, and I watched like the matches that like I actually had seen them before because I got bootleg tapes, but I'd never seen the TV version of them. And there were the two All Japan versus New Japan matches that were so well. Actually, there's three. Well, all three of them were great. And then I guess somebody called like New Japan or TV Asahi and probably from NTV or something, and go, you know, we had all those wrestlers under contract in 1990, so they made them take down the matches that I wanted to see the most. So they're gone. But so they they got everything from the first 25 January 4th shows are up on there, and it's a lot of great stuff. Actually, let me see if I got some of the stuff. So 92, that's 93. Let me go. 92 has had Vader and El Gigante. That match sucked. And Tony Holm and Scott Norton, that match sucked too. But that was like a combined show with WCW. And there was Lex Luger and Shono, which wasn't all that good. There was a Sting and Muto against the Steiner Brothers, which I think was pretty good. Actually, the 92 show, not really much to watch there. 93 was Tenryu and Choshu was the main event. That was a good one. I think I was at this show. For sure I was, because it's Jushin Liger Ultimo Dragon match. So Jushin Liger Ultimo Dragon match was pretty good. It was a little slightly disappointing. Sting and Hase was all right. Muto and Shono, I think, was good. But the big ones, Fujinami and Takashi Ishikawa was actually quite good. Tenryu and Choshu was good, but the big one was the Hellraisers, which was Hawk and Kensuke Sasaki against the Steiner Brothers. They had a crap finish, but that was a good match. So let's see, 94 was Tenryu and Inoki, which was actually pretty cool. They had Hulk Hogan and Fujinami. Steiner Brothers against Muto and Hase was real good. Jushin Liger Tiger Mask was all right. There was a Bruce Beefcake match that totally blew on that one. Hashimoto and Shono I don't particularly remember, so it must not have been that great. 95, Hashimoto and Sasaki was pretty great. Hase and Muto against the Steiners, I think, was pretty great. Inoki and Sting, oh fuck, that match was horrible. Oh, they got so that show's got Sting and Tony Palmori and Inoki and Gerard Gordeau are like two of the worst matches of all time. Actually, I think that there's a lot of stuff on that show that was really bad. Oh, they had a Hawk Scott Norton match as well. Then 96 was Takada and Muto, which was a legendary match, and Inoki and Big Van Vader, which is actually Inoki's last super match. So let's see, 97, Hashimoto and Shono was pretty good. I think Liger and Ultimo Dragon was real good. Inoki and Willie Williams was like really horrible. There was a Masa Saito Kojika match that was really horrible, like really bad. So let's see, 98. Saki and Muto was good. Don Fry and Ogawa. I don't really remember that one. Oh, this one with the 5 Riki Choshu matches. So it was Riki Choshu retirement show. Yeah, I don't remember. That wasn't really all that great. I think there was Ultimo Dragon Otani match that was pretty good though. 99. What do we got? 99. Tenzan and Kojima against Tenryu and Koshinaka. I think that was good. There was the real famous Hashimoto and Ogawa fight that turned real. That was something different. There was a really terrible Sasaki Onita match where Sasaki wouldn't do the job. Let's see. 2000, Sasaki and Tenryu was real good. Muto and Shono, I don't remember. There was Rick Steiner, Randy Savage. I don't remember if that was that great. Norton, Don Fry, sounds like it wasn't that great either. Chemo against Vegeta. Holy crap. Sujita. It's, I don't know. Yeah, 2001. Sasaki and Kawada. Okay, so that's one you probably should watch. That match was really good. And Choshu Hashimoto was without the finish. Kawada and Tenzan. That was the night of the tournament for the IWGP title. And that tournament was really good. The Kawada Tenzan match was real good too. And Sasaki and Shono, I think, was good. Tenzan and Nagata was good. Sasaki and Kojima was real good. So that was a good show. 2002 was Akiyama Nagata, which was a promotion versus promotion, which I think that was a pretty good match. Manabu Nakanishi against Giant Silva. Remember him? Giant Silva?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that match sounds like horrendous.
You're not selling this much.
Well, that one, no. I mean, sometimes people want to see stuff that's like really bad, and there were some really bad ones, as well as some really good ones. Let's see, 2003. Nagata Josh Barnett. Let's see if there's anything there. I don't really remember much from that one. Nagata Barnett, I mean, it was Josh Barnett's like first pro wrestling match, so in the main event at the Tokyo Dome, that's pretty tough. So November, the 2004 show was like 17 matches, and Nakamura actually won the or wrestled Takayama in the main event. This is when Nakamura was green and had no charisma, which is probably something to see. And it was Fujinami retirement ceremony, and Liger and Takashi Sugiura was probably really good. I think I remember that one. So two more left. 2005. Oh my God, that show sucked. Oh, they had some horrible matches on that show. And Nakamura and Tanahashi was the main event. So that's the first time those guys ever main evented the Tokyo Dome. That match wasn't too bad, but boy, that was a real bad card. And so the last one, '06, that was Brock Lesnar Nakamura, which I know sounds like would be good, and it really wasn't. And Chono and Tenzan against Koshinaka and Omori. That's weird. Nagata and Kazunari Murakami. I think that might have been pretty good. Otani and Kanemoto was probably real good. Shibata against Tanahashi. Wow. That would be interesting to see now. I haven't watched that match in almost 11 years. So I remember it, because I remember watching that match going like, these guys were going to be big stars. And they are now. So yeah, there's a Shibata Tanahashi match from 11 years ago. Wow. All right. That's the key stuff. So, you want to watch the good and the bad. I told you the real bad and the real good.
All right, hey, let's go into the mailbag here. Bruce here says, what are the odds the Ring of Honor or New Japan will be able to strike some sort of deal with Zack Sabre Jr.?
I don't know. I don't think he's going to want to go to Japan. I would say New Japan probably no, because New Japan's just got so many guys on the roster. There's really no room for new guys, although I still wish that they would get like Matt Riddle, and there's a couple of guys I wish they would get. But Zack, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could see Zack Sabre fitting in, and he is different from the other guys they got. But, he did work for Noah for all those years. So, I don't know with that, I don't know if I think he really doesn't want to be doing a lot of Japan. That was kind of the impression I got, that he's living in the United States now and everything, or he's based in the United States. Ring of Honor makes sense, all the sense in the world. Just not sure. I haven't heard of any talk between the sides, but it would make sense.
Person here says, considering that giving WrestleMania 32 away for free didn't work out, should WWE end the free trials for good?
Not for good. they should be more selective when they have it. I think it should be like special, a couple times a year, maybe, or maybe even most of the year, but like not during not during WrestleMania though. I don't think, because that didn't work. But maybe like maybe like certain months it is and certain months it isn't. So it's not like it's always going to be the case.
This person here says, CageMatch.cm shows Kenny Omega has not worked in the U.S. since the ROH tapings in February of 2016. Is he currently eligible to wrestle in the U.S.? That could throw a wrench into the potential Long Beach G1 dates.
Okay, so New Japan would be in charge of that, and they'll get it to work. That's the deal. They just haven't. I mean, as far as I know, he hasn't gotten a visa, but he hasn't needed to get a visa. And but if they're going to run the G1 if they're going to run the G1 in the United States, he's going to have to be on, unless the deal is that they only run one show in the United States. If they're going to run two in the United States, he'll have to be at, he probably would be at both shows, in a tag match on one and a singles match on the other. But if they only run one, I guess they could get away with not doing that. But I think that what that means is they're getting visas for everybody. Because the company, got visas for the guys that they sent to Ring of Honor, and he was not one of them. So they didn't get a visa for him this last year.
This person here says, when do you see WWE doing AJ Styles versus Randy Orton's first match? It looks like they've kept them apart ever since AJ got to WWE. Both of them have said recently in multiple interviews that they want to work with each other. It should be on a big stage and be booked as big a deal as AJ and John Cena was.
Yeah, they should really promote the hell out of it when they finally get to it. I don't think it's going to be that soon, though, unless they turn AJ babyface. I guess they could turn Orton babyface, but it kind of, the feeling is that it isn't going to be that's not going to be so quick after all.
This person here says, in The Observer, there is a list of WWE house show rules. Is there somebody there to make sure that the rules are being followed, and are there repercussions if talent breaks a rule? There's
many people there that, that are there to watch out for those rules to be enforced. If you break it, you probably get fined. So, unless you're a superstar, and then, there's always different rules for superstars.
This person here says,
but they still have to follow the basic rules.
This person says, who is responsible for the television production of NXT if it is not Kevin Dunn?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
This person says, please tell me it is too far-fetched to think that Braun Strowman is winning the 2017 Royal Rumble. Well, if Roman wins that title...
If Roman wins the title, it's possible, yeah. Yeah, it's possible.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, it is possible.
Compared to the success that AJ Styles has had, do you think that now, almost a year later, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson regret leaving Japan?
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything in that realm. I think that they're making more money than they made, and they're home more, and I think Carl's got kids, which is a big part of why he came, because he had a nice job in New Japan, but there's that feeling that you're so far away from your kids, and you just don't want to be that far away.
This person here says, were man versus bear wrestling matches ever big draws? Did they ever outdraw the women or midget matches? And did promotions ever use other animals?
Donkeys have been used. I know that.
Donkeys?
Donkeys, yeah.
How do you pin a donkey?
They're not in the match. They have stipulations that the loser has to ride a donkey.
I see.
I'm sure other animals have been used. I'm sure dogs have been used, for sure, because I remember them. But I mean, as far as the bear matches go, I think that they drew. I mean, as far as I remember going to matches with the bear, because I went to a couple, And I think the houses were up from usual. Yeah, I mean, more than the women, for sure, more than the women, more than the midgets drew a little bit, because the midgets would draw some kids. So I don't remember if they actually would outdraw the midgets, but I think if it was like the right situation. But it was, bear matches were pretty depressing to watch, just because they really sucked. They were just terrible. I mean, you just really couldn't get a good match out of a bear.
This person here says, I was watching the new Royal Rumble DVD, and when Reigns is booed out of the building, Michael Hayes is filmed saying, quote, "It's just one city. You can't change your global plans on one city."
Why are people really that stupid? I mean, that's like, good God. That was going to happen in every city. Anyway.
Well, his question is, are they really this naive, or is Hayes just kissing up to Vince?
I don't know the answer to that. I would hate to think that Hayes would be so out that he wouldn't have recognized that the guy was going to get booed based on that situation, no matter what city they were in. I'm really surprised. But yeah, if it's on camera, maybe it's, people make up excuses, especially in wrestling, a lot for the obvious. Either if they didn't know the obvious or trying to justify. Because, I mean, there's so many times where, like, an angle flops, and, it'll be one of those things where, oh, it's the fault of this audience. And sometimes it is. I mean, obviously every audience is unique, but a lot of times when the angle flops, I keep thinking, it's one of those angles where I'm watching going like, this angle sucks. It's not, it's not just this select audience. It's like, they like to think, well, the live audience didn't get it, but the people at home, they'll understand. And it's like, and again, sometimes that is the case, but sometimes it's not.
This person here says, I was relieved to see Ishii move slightly up the card from being hidden in a six-man gauntlet match and moved into the tag title match. Does Dave think that was reactionary to people being upset Ishii was hidden away in a gauntlet match, or was that the plan all along?
Let me see. I would guess it was the plan all along, because they're usually pretty good with that. I think they needed to announce something. But before, because they couldn't very well announce it before they did the angle, and they made the Tokyo Dome announcement. The press conference was before the Korakuen show where Yano came back. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that the card is the plan that they had all along. Yeah.
All right, everybody. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. On the front page is a brand new back issue of The Observer. The new Observer is going to be out in a couple of days. We've done, I think, like 7 shows in the last 3 days. So